Howdy on Lex Lives. I think it's time to play a little 7 Days to Die. Alright. Will you go down this ladder? I know my guy does not like to go down this ladder. Apparently, I got a loot bag. Killing a zombie last night. Knocked him right off the building, it looks like. Let's see others later on here, though. Well, I'm gonna head over to this quest marker here. Do a little fetch quest. Obviously, I wish it was fetching the parts I need, but that hasn't happened yet, so... Scorched. Okay, I don't see anything interesting back in here necessarily. There's an angry zombie under this little bridge, though. Hey, guy. Ooh. I haven't done a strong attack before with the baton. It was interesting. I don't think it really did much for me, though. I know sometimes I'll throw a strong attack when I'm using my preferred punching weapons, but I honestly haven't seen a whole lot of benefit from them. I'm sure there is, but maybe I don't put enough points into my attacks to really make it matter, unfortunately. Alright, where... Okay, looks like it's just right here and up. I can do that. I can do right here and up. So, we didn't play any D&D or Starfinder last night. Well, the guys just straight up didn't show up. No convo, nothing. Very rude. We haven't been able to play in weeks because people have been out of town and stuff. And so not to show up was unfortunate. As I discussed before, I had been switching us over to a new virtual tabletop that everybody said was really good. And so I've put a lot of work and time and money into getting this new setup going because everybody said they wanted to play. And can't even get him to show up or hand over character sheets so I can finish getting this stuff into the system. Very frustrating. Not sure why you'd think that'd be okay behavior. I hate when people do that. Where is this missing sack? Okay, it's not there. It is... Oh, it must be in this somewhere. It says it's right here. Usually it's something you can see, though. Must be up on a rafter, but down a floor. Nope. It's just right here. Oh, I see. It was right here. I gotcha. I probably just looked out there. Alright, well, now we can carry this back. Ooh, can we check out this garage? Door's locked. There's no door on these sides. It's okay. I've been going right through the walls today, so we'll continue doing that. Although I honestly feel like maybe they don't want to play Starfinder, even though they keep saying they do. I got really irritated the first night we played. No, you know what? It wasn't the first night we played. It was, well, it was a combination of that and other conversations. Um, it's a different game system than we normally play, and so I'm really wanted to try it out, and I like sci-fi a lot, so I was kind of excited to try a sci-fi, tabletop role-playing game, and so everybody was really gung ho when we were making characters and stuff. The first night, anyways. Cool. And then so we planned to meet up, and then the one guy couldn't make it for work, and so the other two guys showed up, and we went over making characters, and it seems like the one guy making his character didn't put a lot of effort into it, and so left his character half made. And judging by what information I could pull about his character, it doesn't seem like he followed the directions very well either. And which is weird for someone who runs his own games. Not in this system, but everybody got the rule book. So I mean, there's nothing stopping him from glancing through the rules, and I know what he does. So I mean, I know he's got time. And yeah, and then when I get looking at his, well, no. So then we've finished talking about our characters, and everybody's like, yeah, I'll finish setting it up later. And then I talk to the other guy, and I'm like, hey, you wanna meet up a different day so we can get your character going? And then he does basically the same thing as the other guy, and only half listens, and then he's like, yeah, I'll finish this off later. And so then we got to the night of actual playing, and the very first thing that happens basically in the game is a spaceship fight. Now, I don't think we've ever even really done ship-to-ship combat or anything like that in any of the tabletop stuff that we've played together. So, spaceship combat, obviously, a new system, a totally new combat setup, all that. Very, very new to us. And so I warned him it'd be a little slow until we got the hang of the new rules and stuff. And so the system for the spaceship combat is different than character combat, because in character combat you're controlling your character and you're using your abilities to interact with the battle that's going on. But with this setup, you're a member of a crew, and so the ship, because not everybody has their own ship, instead everybody is a crew member of a ship, so everybody's got a different job related to combat. And because we're that was weird. Because we're level 1. Oh, did you bump me out? Is that what happened? Yeah, that's what happened, because it's not open yet. Um, so because we're level 1, our ship is not, high-end battle, ship or something. We got a gun, right? We got basic shields, right? That kind of stuff, because we're new. And so the thing we're fighting is actually weaker than we are. And it also only gets an attack. We get an attack, it gets an attack. And so it's a bit slow going, because we both have shields, and you gotta burn your way through an enemy's shields first. Oh. It's like, what was that horrible noise? But that was the trader opening. And then on top of that, every person on the ship has a different role. And so with the 4 characters, we have 4 roles on our ship that we're doing. And they asked if I would be the pilot. And all the pilot does is moves the ship around. That's it. That's my whole job during combat.
Congratulations. I can make my payment now.
I guess we'll take this one. Did you get new inventory? That's the big question here. I really need you to have some acid. Would be great. Or a wheel. You don't. I'm not sure they actually updated anything here. Yep. Still no wheel. Alright. Give me another fetch job here, I guess. They're easy enough to do. So yeah. So we each pick our roles. I mean, I asked them, what roles they wanted to do. And I told them they could switch roles during combat. And because that's how the game works. And then we start into the combat. And so the one guy is a mechanic. And so we discussed what everybody's roles would be. And he said as the mechanic, he'd be the engineer. And then we have a mystic, which is kind of like a wizard. He's not a mystic. That's not a thing. He's a technomancer. So it's like a technology-based wizard, right? And so he was trying to figure out what he wanted to be, and I thought maybe he'd be good as the science officer. And so he said, yeah, that sounded good to him. They run the scans and the shields and stuff. The mechanic runs the power and repairs and stuff. And so then they asked if I'd do the piloting, and so I'm like, sure, it's fine with me. And so all I do is, I move the ship around. There's a little bit more to each of those roles than just that, but you roll some skill checks to see, and there's like the pilot, right? I move the ship around, but there are tricks I can do to change how it works, like fly one direction and then flip the ship over so you're firing back toward the enemy, or reverse the ship, or do a stealthy flyby kind of thing. Um, Barrel roll, I think, is one of them that can increase your defense, things like that. And and then the science officer can reposition your shields. They can target specific parts of the alien ship. They can um, learn about the alien ship, or I say alien, the enemy ship is what I meant. Stuff like that. And the engineer shunts power around, so he can increase weapon damage or increase flight speed, or things like that. Or if there's damage, then he can fix the damage to the ship. And then the last position we needed, of course, was the gunner. Well, we've got a dude who's a straight up soldier type, and so we said, hey, you can be the gunner, because we need a gunner. And he's like, yeah, that sounds great to me. And so his only job during the combat is to roll our attack. Um, and we've only got one gun, so he can do one attack. If we had two guns, he could do two attacks. But we don't have two guns. We've got one gun. And so he rolls the one attack. That's what he does. There are different things he can do with that attack, um, and some different tricks you can do with it. But basically, that's what we do. I move the ship. The engineer repairs damage and gives us boosts via power changes. The science officer tries to give us boosts to our attacks by targeting specific things, that kind of stuff. And so everybody's got a little role in the combat. Um, Now, like I said, we're level 1, so our skills are not the greatest. And so, I might try to do a trick with the ship and then fail, and then the ship doesn't move that turn, or it only moves at half speed, or turning takes more, things like that. There's some penalties if you fail. It's not a big deal. And so two of us are having a lot of fun with this, being me and the science officer. The engineer, on the other hand, is losing his mind during the game, and he just won't stop saying how his guy has got better stats than everybody else, and how he should be doing all the other jobs because his skills are better than everybody else's. And I'm like, that's not how the game works. You get one job on the ship. You can switch to captain if you want, but we got a pilot, we got a science officer, we got a gunner. We don't want to give up our spots. Uh, and and so he just will not stop talking about how maybe it would be better if he was the gunner because he gets this bonus and this bonus and this bonus. And what it works out to is that he would get a +1. I think it's a +1 over the current gunner on his roll. He get one bonus. Um, okay, this says it's below this building. Oh, look! I think there's a spot through this hay bale. So I'm just like, okay, dude, but you're not the gunner. So you chose to be the engineer. You don't have to be the engineer. You can choose something else. But we've only got one gun. And the gunner is currently using that one gun. So you can't be the gunner. You just can't. I can't help it. If he doesn't want to be the gunner, then I guess you can be the gunner. And he's like, well, I think it'd be better if I was the gunner because I get bonuses. Like, everybody's got a bonus. He's got a bonus because he's got higher attack skill than anybody else in our group. I kind of felt that's why he was the gunner. He's like, yeah, but my guy actually works out to have a better. Okay, sure. Your guy has higher dexterity, so you get a bonus. I guess it's 1 point higher than his. 1 point. And pretty much it will never be greater, no matter what happens, than 1 point. Because as your skills go up, so do his. And so, unless the two of you start dumping points into piloting, which neither of you did, then you can't be a better shot than he is. And so, on top of that, the guy who's the gunner isn't rolling well for the night. And so, I think he hit twice out of like 6 attacks we had time for. Because what happened was we show up to play on our second night after everybody said they're going to have their character done, and 2 of them did not work on their character. And so we had to go through character setup again for 2 of them. And they still don't have it set up right, even now, a month and a half later. And so then the guy who's playing the gunner, the Solaran he's called, he starts getting into this mopey, I can't hit nothing. It'd probably be better if I just wasn't doing a roll at all on the ship and just let you guys handle combat. I mean, everybody's going to have a better skill at this than I do. This class doesn't have great skills like that. I made this class because, it's really good at melee combat, but this isn't melee combat. I'm like, dude, you have a higher attack bonus than everybody else because you're focused on weapons. You're gonna be okay as the gunner, unless you want to be the captain. If you want to be the captain, because that's it. That's the only role we have open. You can't be the engineer. You don't have any points in engineering at all. Engineering requires training. The only person who's trained as an engineer is the mechanic and myself, and I'm the pilot. And nobody has points into piloting except me. So I think it would be better if I remained the pilot, as you guys said you wanted me to do. And so you got your choice between captain and gunner, basically. Uh, and then we won't have an engineer because then the engineer has to choose gunner. Like, we set this up specifically for these roles. I mean, not specifically for these roles, but our classes match these roles. I can't. I don't know what you want to do. He's like, well, I'm just saying this is going to take a long time. I'm like, of course it's going to take a long time. We're level 1. Everybody's got tons of shields. Our weapon does like 1d6 damage. The dude's got 40 points of shielding before we can even get to him. It's going to take a while. This combat is going to take a while. I already said that this would take us a long time to get through this first combat because we don't know how things work and we're still learning. On top of that, we're level 1. We're level 1. And so we get through our first night of the game. And then the 2 of them just start the whining in the Discord chat about how terrible the gunner says how terrible he is at being the gunner and how maybe it'd be better if somebody else took over the job of gunner. And I'm like, once again, nobody really has that big of a bonus over you. I don't know how different I can say this. I could understand if he wasn't already playing a tabletop game. He understands how this stuff works. Like, we may not know the rules of this particular tabletop game, but he understands how the bonuses work. And I'm like, the dude's got a bonus of 1, maybe 2 over you. And so then he's the other guy, the mechanic. He's like, yeah, I got like 2 over him. I'm like, okay, fine, you got 2 over him, but how does that change us from needing an engineer and then you being the only one who can be an engineer? I mean, my guy could be an engineer, but he wouldn't be as good as you as an engineer. So we're supposed to take a worse engineer? I put my points into piloting because you guys said you didn't want to be the pilot. So I'm the pilot. Well, I'm just saying that maybe combat would go better if my mechanic took over the position of gunner. I'm like, okay, and then we get damaged and right. Nobody's there to fix the ship. Uh, and so then I'm like, okay. So then I go through the numbers. I fill out every level of number for our 3 characters, showing that as we go up levels, the bonus will never be greater than 2. The mechanic will never have an advantage over the gunner larger than adding 2 points to his roll. Will that make a difference sometimes? Sure. Will it make a difference often? No. Usually you're either way under or way over. It's really rare to hit close to the limit every time. It just is. I played hours and hours of tabletops at this point. And, man, they're just. Ugh, they made me not even want to play the game at that point. They were so whiny about what's going on. And even after I laid out the numbers, there's still. Yeah, but a 2 bonus. No, a 2 bonus is not that big a deal. Only in your mind, mechanic, DM from the other game who thinks that my sword having a +1 is overpowering. Uh, Only you think that a +2 is that big a deal. Uh, he does too. Oof, he thinks a +2 to a roll is the most amazing thing ever. Uh, and it almost never makes a difference in our games. Um, I would say, I would bet you that in any given game, that a +2 bonus in the long run of any night might affect the outcome twice a night. And that's out of what, 20, 30, 40 rolls? Uh, so yeah, I don't understand. And then and then it's been it's been over a month. We are now 2 weeks into me having purchased a server that we've never used because renting a server, I guess. Um, because we had a 2 week trial and they said they were ready to go, and so I signed up the server for the 2 week trial the weekend before we were supposed to play, and then we didn't play, and then the next week we didn't play, and so then I had to pay for the server, and then we didn't play, and then last night we didn't play again, uh, and we hadn't played before that for a couple weeks, and so yeah, I don't know. I mean, if they don't want to play, I wish they'd just say. Um, if I was a more go out and find people to do things with person, and I am the complete opposite spectrum of that, I honestly would find different people to play with. Um, I just, I don't know. I don't know why nobody wants to play things when they say they want to play things. I don't understand. I get being busy. I get that. Hey, you know what? We were doing Final Fantasy 3 nights a week. We were doing D&D a fourth night a week. That's a lot of time to have wrapped up in a particular group of people. I get it. Can't make it every night? Sure. Can't even make it every week? Sure. Um, can't make it for 6 straight weeks in anything without saying anything? No, that's just being rude at that point. And the thing is, when you do catch him outside of that kind of stuff, and you say, "Hey," he's like, "Yeah. Just I was busy that night. I couldn't make it." So I wish he'd just say he was done, and then that way we can stop waiting for him. In fact, I'm probably gonna message him today. Be like, "Hey man, are you done? Are you done? Look, I know you got a new girlfriend, but it's not okay to leave other people hanging. I don't care if you want to play with us or not. That's not the issue. The issue is that we waited for 3 hours last night, and you didn't even send us a message. That's the issue. Because someone else can easily play two characters. Easily. And we could have gone on and played. Because it'd be different if this was like, this is what we're doing now, and he didn't want to do it. But this was before I buy these things, would you guys want to play Starfinder? And everybody was like, oh yeah, that sounds awesome. And then when we get down to it, they don't fix their characters, they don't hand over character sheets. I feel like I'm very frustrated by this and I can't give it up. They've irritated me so much at this point. I can't recall the last time I said I would do something and then I didn't show up for it, or at least send a message that I wasn't gonna show up for it ahead of time. It's so frustratingly rude. I'm also not a big fan of the it starts at a certain time, and then a half hour after it was supposed to start, you send a message saying you're going to be another hour before you can get there, and then think that's okay. I don't understand that concept either. I mean, it's one thing if it's, just two people doing it, but when there's four people or more who are involved, and oh man, it's a rule book or ammunition. I've gotta go with the ammunition, right? I mean, I know that ammunition's gonna get used up, but
If you do this for me, if you finish 2 more jobs,
well, I think with
will
that,
give you employee
I gonna call it a day. Because I've got a thing I'm scheduled for starting soon. So with that, be bearing the small things, lean to the light. I will talk to you later.